Hello everybody.
How you doing?
Here we are on the day after elections. It's a little breezy out and as usual, my hair's a mess. Hair and makeup, they never show up, you know?
Hair, makeup,
and so we
they never come, and so we
wait. So anyway, it's my crazy hair and it's the day after elections, so we thought we'd take a few moments to talk about that with y'all. We found this beautiful little park here in Winchester to pop a squat.
See if I can't raise this up just a tad
and go over things with y'all. Bear with us. We got these beautiful birds singing in the background.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise, but it's mostly birds.
Beautiful trees and bushes.
Let me give you a 360 real quick.
It's really a nice little find of a park. Little walking trail.
There you go. And this is in Winchester, Tennessee. We are in Winchester today.
And I know everybody's been talking about the elections and posting the results and going over things, and there's a ton of misinformation being posted.
Yep.
There's a ton of, whoa, this hair is just crazy. There's a ton of people saying all kinds of crazy things.
One of the craziest things I think we discovered in some of the back and forth on all these different channels is there's 207 votes. There's only 100 people. There's got to be some shady stuff going on. Each person that voted gets up to 4 votes. So 100 times 4, there could have been 400 votes cast.
So there was actually 17 mail-in ballots and 68 ballots for election day, one of which I believe was blank, if I heard that correctly. So I don't know why you would waste your time to
mail in a blank ballot.
Well, I don't know that that was a mail-in. Or if that was election day. Either way,
it's weird.
Don't know why you would waste your time to put in a blank. But however, so that was 85 if you add that up, which I believe in the previous election there was 77.
I believe 77.
So the number of voters coming out has gone up some.
That's good.
That's
people
very
getting
good.
Involved, yeah.
I don't know what the census is these days of how many people are actually living in Otter Creek. That number has to have gone up as well. I might need to tuck my hair into my shirt or something. We're sitting on the wrong side of the wind. So instead of it blowing, maybe we gotta turn it around.
Oh, you want to face the other way? We
yeah,
can do that.
Let's try that.
We are mobile. There we go. Wind in the face.
Okay. Sometimes it's all about the angle, right? See?
There you go.
Now it's not my face. It looks like we're cruising
there we go.
in a nice breeze here. Wow, this is gorgeous.
I think the light's better anyway.
Yeah. So, thank you for joining us on the other side of the bench. So, yeah, I don't know how many people live in the town these days. It can't be that much more, but I'm sure it is more. And we'll just go over the results very quickly because I know you've seen them all. Zim, it's so windy, the camera almost blew over. Zim got the highest number of votes with 55. Rex coming in second behind him at 51. Now these are the results, first of all, for the 2-year seats, because remember we had 2 different brackets, so these are the 2-year seats. So Zim had the highest at 55, then Rex behind him at 51, then Dawn at 30, and then you have Lynette at 18 and Jeffrey Berry at 17. Now,
did you get Russell?
Oh, I always like to forget about somebody there. Russell,
he's easy to forget.
He actually was the 3rd highest at 36, my bad. And in the 1-year seat, you only had 2 people in that one, which was Carl with the higher votes at 51 and Stuart had 33. So who is seated for the 2-year seats was Zim, Rex, and Russell. And then the 1-year seat was Carl.
Right.
So that is your new board. Rex, Zim, Carl, Laura,
And Russell.
and Russell. So,
In no particular order.
and as you know, the normal elections, on the even years you have 2 seats open, and on the odd years you have 3 seats open. So next year in 2026, 2 seats will be up, which will be Laura's seat and Carl's seat,
Yes.
as long as there's no issues.
As long as everybody serves their full term
Right.
and shows up to the
If
meetings.
someone gives up their term early, then of course that changes the whole configuration of that. And I know, I'm trying to think of all the different little things. There's also, people were asking, what's an undervote?
Yeah.
And an undervote is when they were given 4 votes, but they only put in 3, so they undervoted the allotted amount that they had.
Correct.
They were allotted 4, they only took 3, so
Or
there's
2,
an
or
2 or
1,
whatever.
right.
So there's an undervote, and that's what that means.
And that's allowable.
Yes.
Like
yes.
if you want to go in and only vote for, let's say, Rex, you can go in, cast your vote for Rex, and then submit your ballot.
Yep.
You can leave the other 3 blank.
You're not required. Just don't go in and leave them all blank.
Yeah,
'Cause
right.
That's a waste of time.
That's a waste of time.
So, and we do want to give a huge shout out to Travis. I know a lot of people were very thankful, as were we, that Travis was there covering the election. So, huge shout out to Travis over there at What You Doing Willis for covering and keeping us informed of what was going on. We appreciate all he does and his positivity that he brings.
Yeah, because we didn't see anybody else there videoing. So,
I know in my opinion, there's a huge lack of interest.
Yeah.
We only saw in attendance Rex, Richard, Dawn, and Lynette. So there was a huge lack of interest of people covering the results, and that's the canvassing board. That was their meeting for covering that. So I was surprised. I thought I'd see a lot more people there from the town, as well as just people covering it for the interest of Otter Creek.
Yeah.
But that's all good. Oh, and I forgot that the cops showed up.
Oh, yeah. And then 2 people left early.
Yeah.
I mean, guess who they are? You know who always leaves a meeting early?
Don.
Don the Con left early when he realized things weren't going to go his way. So he gave up on it.
Well, I mean,
and
you
walked
didn't even
out.
know at that point. Wouldn't
didn't.
you still want to see who won?
Yeah. If you're really there for the right reasons, then you congratulate those that won. It doesn't matter who they are, or, whatever.
I can tell you, it turned out the exact way we predicted it to turn out. That's exactly who we thought was going to win.
Yeah.
We always knew that someone from that side of things was going to get on the board, and it was
'cause it
only
was an
logical that it was going to be Russell.
Yeah.
So that turned out exactly how most people would have thought it would turn out. I know a lot of people were disappointed because they wanted to see Don win, because let's face it, he adds a lot of entertainment value to a meeting, but that is not what the meeting needs. That's what the viewers at home would like to see,
Right.
is the entertainment value. But really,
Drama llamas, right?
all Don is going to do is disrupt the meeting and throw fits and walk out. And believe it or not, I do believe when Russell's there without a partner in crime, he's going to behave
A little better.
a little bit better.
At least him and Don can't pair up and walk out of the meeting just to cancel the meeting. And that's
Right.
all they did, is manipulate it.
Now, am I shocked that people still vote for Russell? Yes.
I am.
I absolutely am every time. Like, where have these people been? Haven't they seen him do enough damage?
Yeah, 2 years ago he got 34 votes. This time he got 36, but there were more people voting.
Yeah.
So it was about the same.
And I'm sure you can tell by who was voting for the different people, that Russell still does maintain a good control of the people, in that town.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I'm absolutely shocked, just as well as most of you at home are shocked, that anybody would still continue to vote for people that obviously don't care much about their town.
I was shocked by a couple other tallies too. I was pretty shocked at Lynette's tally. She had 18. Who are these 18 people? I mean, okay, I can account for 2 of them, herself and then her paramour, but I can't account for the other 16. I don't know. Can I say lunatics? We'll be nice. We'll just say I can't account for the other 16 that voted for her. I don't get it. Someone can explain that
Maybe
to me.
they want to bring more entertainment value to their town as well.
You certainly
the
would
people that
have.
claim they don't like drama or YouTube covering the town, maybe they actually want that. Maybe they actually like that. I don't know.
Perhaps.
So I thought those were interesting happenings.
That was the biggest number that blew my mind. I was like, oh, she won't get more than 10, and I don't know how she can get 10. She got 18. Who are these people who are voting for this lady? I'm blown away. Anyway, I'm never going to understand that number. But the other numbers I can understand.
Thankfully for the people in Otter Creek, she did not get on the board, which is a good thing, because I don't think that would add much value to the town.
Zero value.
I do believe you have a good board going forward once again to be productive and do some very good things for the town. So that's good to see. I know a lot of people have kept it in their prayers, as we have. So we do keep an eye, and we'll continue to keep an eye. Whether or not we're covering anything, we will still always check in with our friends and see how the town is going. We do have interests in that town, and we'll continue to pray and hope for the best for them. But I know a lot of people were also asking, who is this Jeffrey Berry guy?
Okay, you explain that one better, because you know.
So Jeffrey Berry is the man who lives next door to Town Hall. If you remember, I don't know how many months or so ago, he had put up a sign in his yard talking not so nice things about Belinda, as well as you saw when Travis was driving through the town. There was many more signs put up about Belinda, so I'm assuming that that was also signs that Jeffrey Berry had a part in putting up.
Yeah, he's not one of the good people you want on the board.
He's also,
in case you're just wondering who that was, because he just came out of left field.
I remember there was some kind of harassment with him in Town Hall, and he was kicked out of, he was trespassed from Town Hall. If I remember correctly, there were stories of him coming in there either under some kind of influence of either strong drink or some kind of...
Those rugs, man. Those rugs will get you.
Flying rugs. I don't know. So that's pretty much the DL on him. I know the other YouTuber likes to go over to his house after filming. So
yeah, they hang out a lot. So birds of a feather, you can put that together.
All the cronies hanging out over there. So I don't know that he would have added any good value to the board as well.
Zero.
Seeing on his past behaviors of what he did going into Town Hall and causing trouble, I was shocked personally when I saw his name on the ballot. Like, wow, that's a reach, and he even got less votes than Lynette did. So
yeah, so
must be pretty bad, right?
It's the same 17 people voted for them. I don't know who are these people wasting their votes. They wasted 2 votes.
So crazy. So
I was shocked also to see a few votes that were casted for Russell that also casted for Zim. That was interesting. Okay, but most of the votes were right down party lines. I mean,
I was shocked
if you were a Russell supporter, then you voted for all those people that shouldn't be on the board. And if you were a Zim person supporter, then you voted for all of his supporters. But there were a few votes that were casted that kind of split the line, and that's fine. That's great. That means they're looking at things maybe, objectively and saying, well, this guy would be better on the board, I think, because of this, and he would be better on the board because of this. Now, I'll give Russell some credit. He does have some knowledge. Okay, he has been on this board in numerous years, so he's well connected at the county, as we know. That can be good, that can be bad. But he does add some value where some of these other people add zero value.
It would be nice if during this term he actually added his knowledge
To the water.
do good things for the town. I always
Yeah.
said, why leave a bad legacy? Leave a good legacy.
Right.
So, we saw in this past term Laura Mott doing good things, and I know she generally will go along with the winning side of things.
Yeah, she's a flip-flopper.
So maybe Russell can take a cue and also participate in going along with the good things going on in Otter Creek.
Because remember, this board is for the town. It's not individual agendas.
Right.
It's the town.
Yeah, and the overall good for the town.
Now, look, I want to say real quick while it's on my mind. Like a lot of people might say, Zim, he's on the board because of this campground. It's very common in these small towns that people do get involved on the board because they do want to work on some things. However, you can do both. You can make decisions that are in your best interest and in the best interest of the town. And I think that's what Zim was doing. Zim, of course, yeah, he wants to bring a campground, but it also benefits the town because it's going to raise revenue for the town. The only way the town makes any money is by selling water. That's all they got. So he adds, let's say 40 lots to the town. That's 40 more people using water that they can bill and raise revenue. So you can do both. You can do something for yourself and you can do something for the town. And that's why people get involved. That's why, we got involved. We saw bad things happening. We wanted to make a change and, we handed it off. And so I think the board is going in the right direction. And it's perfectly fine to have little agendas, but you got to also support the town. As long as you're supporting the town, then you're doing good by the town. And I just wanted to throw that important note in there for people that are just, bashing people for no reason. Go ahead, not to cut you off.
I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But people do like to bash, and it is usually business owners that do get on the board, and most everyone gets on the board to do something. So anything is an agenda. So say
Right.
I wanted to plant more plants in the town. I have an agenda.
That's it.
I want to plant more plants.
Yeah.
So, and that would be my own personal agenda.
Right.
So label things however you want to label them. That's the way they've been working from the beginning of time.
Years.
So everybody's going to be opposed to whoever they don't like.
Right.
Period. Plain and simple. But you can't say things are going in the wrong direction when good things are happening.
Right.
If you are saying that, good luck selling it, because anybody who's got 20/20 vision or wears glasses, they can clearly see that things are moving in the right direction, and they'll continue to move in the right direction with a good board.
Right.
So again, I hope Laura continues to be on the right side of things, and I hope Russell joins in on that. Now, another question people have been asking is, what's going to happen with the ethics? What is going to happen with the ethics? There's a hearing April 25th where they're going over a lot of the different things that have been occurring with Russell Meeks Sr. And they will make a determination based on those things and hand out whatever fines or punishments they deem to be fit for the situation.
So
What could they do? One of the things they've talked about them doing is
he could be banned from running on the board for a certain amount of time or for life.
now what would happen if he's been
Right.
seated on this board? Can they remove him?
Yes.
They sure can. What will they do? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. We'll all have to wait and see. But the
So-
people get seated in May.
Let's follow that. Let's follow that thought process for a minute. Let's say ethics gets Russell banned from the board and they've already been sworn in and seated. That would create a vacant seat. and it would be filled by a letter of interest. Now, if the ethics board moves quickly and they ban him from being on the board
before he
gets seated, then they could just skip him in the tally, and then it would go to Don. Don would be the next one with the most votes. So if he gets banned from the board before he's seated, Don could replace him, or Don would replace him. If he's already seated, then he would get removed from the board, and it'd be a vacant seat, a letter of interest, and you know how that plays out. You give a certain amount of time, usually a week, to see what other residents might be interested in sitting on the board, and then they pick from those letters of interest. So
it's a process that takes several months.
Yeah.
But if you remember correctly, they had moved to the seating of the people in May. Now, they used to seat them in the first meeting after the election, which would be in April. Mm-hmm. However, if you remember several years ago, when they changed the election date and they changed all the election within that, or all the language within that ordinance, and who was on the board when all that was put into play? Was Laura, was Russell,
Don.
Was Stewart, Don.
Mm-hmm.
Those were all the people on the board during that time. Now, I can't remember if Laura was still there when they passed that, or if she had stepped off at that time to run for the commissioner seat that she did not win.
Right.
But that was the boards prior to when I came in, or to the board that sits there now. Mm-hmm. So the people that put those results where they would be seated in May was Russell and all of them anyway. So I know a lot of chatters going on about
something Zim did.
How Zim is doing this, and no, this was all put into play by Russell
beforehand. Yes.
So now when they changed the last language for some of the stuff within that ordinance, this new board still kept the seating to be in May. I'm not sure why. I personally would have put it back to April, but I'm not there, so I can't answer for why they kept it the way Russell and them put it.
Because all the other small towns, municipalities in the county, they all, when they seat them in April, that's when they seat them. I don't know why Otter Creek decides to wait until May, but that's what they did.
And then again at that May meeting, they will do a vote amongst themselves as board members to who will be the mayor and vice mayor.
That'll be the first order of business.
And those change every year.
Yep.
So a lot of
They can change every year. They could vote to keep
Well, there's a new vote.
There's a new vote.
There's a new vote every year. Whether or not the person changes is up to them. Mm-hmm. Now, who do you think they're going to vote for mayor and vice mayor?
Well, I think it's going to be Zim, mainly because he has the numbers to support on the board. He has 3 of the 5 votes.
From what I've seen and my speculation, the only 2 people interested in being a mayor on that board would be Russell and Zim.
Now, I think Carl would make a good mayor.
Oh, yeah, we're not talking about who would make a good mayor, but I'm saying as far as interest goes.
Right.
And there's different factors for that. I don't know. I personally don't know if Carl would be interested in being in the mayor, but I know that takes more time, and Carl has a pretty demanding job.
Yep.
So, and Rex the same. I don't know that Rex would be interested in being mayor, although I feel he would make a good mayor as well.
Yep. They don't have the time
He's very
commitment.
busy, so I do believe that it's pretty much who's interested would be Russell or Zim.
Right.
And looking on past experience, Zim would be the best of the choice.
Yep, in my opinion too.
Now, I'm not sure about vice mayor. Carl did a fine job. I'm not sure if he still wants to do it. I think either him or Rex would make good vice mayors.
But that's up to those 5 people on the board now.
It's up to them. So I think Carl did a fine job, and if he got a chance to do it again, he'd do another year of good work.
Yep.
So what else? There's another chatter people have been talking, is Belinda's job safe?
I think it's safe.
Yes, of course Belinda's job is safe. She's fantastic. she's the best person for the job. She's been in it for this long. She knows all the ins and outs. She's doing great. She's obviously got a lot of patience for some of the things.
And wouldn't that take a vote of the board to remove her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you'd have to get a majority of the voters to remove her.
Yeah, no one person on the board could remove her. The mayor and himself couldn't do it. The vice mayor couldn't do it.
The
One
mayor has
board
very
member.
limited power.
It's all done by vote.
The power that the mayor has, you don't see in the meetings. They run the meetings as the administrator of the meetings, but their real only power is when the meetings are over. The phone calls they can make to try to get certain things or to get certain answers to questions and things. They have some influence, but they don't have a lot of power. They really don't. I think Belinda has the most power as an individual.
Yeah, the clerk has the most power there.
Or the board as a whole has more power.
And she's doing a fine job. Now, what I would like to see in the future, what we talked about when I was there, is having at least another person in the clerk position as a part-time to be there in case something were to happen.
Yeah, because something happened to Belinda.
Yeah, who knows? Nobody knows all
this
this
stuff.
stuff.
Some deadlines missed.
So it's very important to have somebody, and also for the checks and balances with the monies.
Yes.
So I hope in the future that, and this year in this term, that they can nail something down with having somebody come on part-time to help. Now, it's very hard in a small town to find anybody who wants to do that, who's qualified to do that. So
that's the key thing.
It does come with some challenges, I know that for sure, but it is something important that I hope they look into. I'm super happy once again that they have this. I'm looking over my notes to see.
Yeah, we took some notes.
I just want to make sure I've answered
all the questions out there.
As many of the questions. I know there's still going to be questions. People continuously have some questions. Now, another thing people were complaining is that it took half an hour to count those votes. And let me tell you, if Mary was there, it would have taken more than 30 minutes.
Twice as long.
Because when we were there that last time,
I think it was 2 hours.
It was completely fouled up, miscounts, unbelievable. I had never seen any, and less votes.
Yeah.
So be thankful it was only 30 minutes.
The sun keeps coming out.
Now some people will ask, well, why don't they just use the Scantrons that run through the machine and have automatic numbers?
Yep.
Well, to have that kind of equipment coming out to Otter Creek would cost them a lot more money, as well as you need the staff to support that, and you also have all the surrounding towns that are having elections during that time. You had Cedar Key having elections, Bronson. Inglis. Am I forgetting? Chiefland didn't have anything.
No.
But all those surrounding small towns had some voting going on. So
Might
you got
not be enough machines.
Machines going out to those, staff from the supervisor of elections office going with those machines.
Go with the machines. Yep.
So
get spendy.
And Otter Creek doesn't have that kind of money to be wasting on that. It's not necessary for that small amount of votes. Those other towns get more votes, it's a lot more to count.
They also, if you notice, they weren't just counting the votes. They have to be very meticulous. They have to first certify the ballot to make sure that it's legible, that they can discern, who they're trying to pick, that there's only 4 votes cast and not more. So they're not just counting the votes, they also are certifying the votes, and they had to double count them, and they all have to agree on that number. So there's a lot more going on than just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I thought they did a great job.
I thought they did too. Hats off to everybody there, making sure.
The canvassing board is always very professional.
Yep. Thank you, Tammy Jones, for the wonderful job you do for Levy County.
She's awesome.
You are one of the officials I've always said goes above and beyond for Levy County. Tammy Jones is wonderful at the Supervisor of Elections office. Mm-hmm. She's always taken the time to inform people as necessary. She's even at home, she's working. She probably works in her sleep. Mm-hmm. So what else? There was one other thing. People were still talking about how the elections were canceled last year and how Zim canceled the elections, another misinformation. So if we remember correctly, Stewart pulled out of the election.
He pulled his nomination.
So he pulled his name out of the hat, so to speak, which left only the amount of people needed. So there was nobody opposing running against Rex.
Each person had a seat, so they became that
Right.
seat.
So Joseph and Rex had nobody opposing them. There was 2 seats, 2 people. Therefore, no need for an election.
Just sit there.
You just go.
Right.
You're seated. That's what happens when nobody is opposing. So nothing was canceled fraudulently. There was no corruption there. If you want to blame anybody for that, blame Stewart for pulling his name out of the hat. If he would have left his name in the hat, there would have been an election. You know, we can speculate whether he would have won or not. Don't know. But
I have a small thing when you're done.
well, you might as well go now.
Okay, sorry. This isn't something that you'll see, and I don't have any verified numbers, but it is a problem with all of the, I won't say it's just Florida. I don't know how big it is, but I know it exists in Levy County, and I'm sure it's the same in other counties. But you have people that move out of the town and they're still on the voter rolls, and people are saying, well, you just scrub the rolls and they don't live here anymore, you kick them. Or when they register in that other town they move to, then they fall off the rolls and become part of the rolls in that town. Let's say someone moves from Otter Creek to Inglis. Well, but they come back to Otter Creek to vote. Is that wrong? Yes. Is it happening? It does happen. We don't know to what frequency or how many, and we don't know their intent. And that's why they can't clean up the rolls, is because your voting is all about your intention. Are you intending to come back to Otter Creek to live? Then yes, you can vote in Otter Creek. You know, you can question that.
I don't think it's as simple as that.
What do you think?
I think you would have to own property. You can't just say, well, I intend to live somewhere and this is where I'm going to vote.
Maybe.
I think you would have to own property there. And now I own some property there and I don't live there yet, but I intend to move there in the next 6 months.
Oh.
I think that's kind of how it, I know a little people get confused a lot about all of that.
And the campgrounds,
the
are they
scrubbing
residents? Can
of
they
the
vote?
rolls
Yes.
is not an easy task, but I can
Right.
tell you
But that is
that I've
issue.
seen the numbers, and Tammy, she does a fantastic job,
Yep.
and she is constantly at that every year. And she did. There's numbers if you look on the website of how many people they scrubbed off the rolls.
Yeah, quite a few.
So they do the best they can with that, but the way things are written, they can only go so far. And they send out the letters they send to do it. But she's on top of it, and she does.
She does all she can.
She does all she can.
She's
absolutely.
bound by the laws of Florida.
Absolutely.
So.
And you know, the last thing I think there was a lot of chatter about is why did the cops show up?
Oh.
And we can
I don't
speculate
know.
that all day long.
Maybe just in case.
You know, because there's always usually some drama in
It's
Otter
Creek.
And with all the different players that were running, there probably could be a problem. I don't believe they were there to escort people to their cars. I haven't seen that before or in other places,
No.
but hey, maybe they're doing a new thing. Who knows? We can speculate on it all day
And
long.
did somebody call them? I don't know.
I didn't see any problems there.
I think maybe they were just driving their normal pattern, and they just tried to sync up their drive through Otter Creek with the end of the election. So they just probably timed it out so that they'd be in Otter Creek at that time and just stop and walk in and just make sure that everything's okay. I
Sure.
think that's probably the way it happened.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. That's my.
I'm sure somebody called and
think
arranged for
somebody
them
called
to
them?
check in.
Oh my goodness.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
But
See, we don't always agree, and that's okay.
But again, it's all speculation. I didn't see any problems. I didn't see him there really taking care of anything or doing
He
anything.
didn't ask anybody anything, so
I did see everything look fine.
yeah.
There was
good.
hardly anybody there. So in summary, I say congratulations to Otter Creek.
Yes.
You got yourself a board that hopefully, I mean,
can continue
Russell
to do
getting
good
on the
things.
board, I don't see it as going to be a problem because you're still going to have a majority vote doing the right stuff.
You can keep him in check.
And pray that he decides to go along with good things happening for the town. Again, keep the town in your prayers, but I think from now on, Otter Creek should be a pretty boring place. I think the meetings should be boring. I think good things are going to happen,
Yeah.
and the town might start to thrive and go in the right direction. Now, do I think there's still a lot of problems in that town? Absolutely. Do I think there's a lot of people who like to cause problems in that town? 100%. But that's got nothing to do with the board and the meetings. Right. So do I think everybody still needs to be covering the meetings to see all this drama and things that are happening? Probably not.
Yeah.
It'll probably be a big waste of time for everybody to continue hanging on every moment to see what's going to happen.
Now, things might have been a lot different if Lynette had gotten on the board, for sure. Or if Lynette had ended up in that clerk's office, you'd have had a mess.
So people probably, if you're still looking for drama and things to check on, I guess keep watching that saga. But it looks like...
Or you can watch Madam Mayor's Adventures, and we'll give you the highlights of what's happening in Otter Creek, pitched in with some DIY and some travel. Who knows what adventures you might run into here.
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know what planet he's on, but I'm not going to be talking much about Otter Creek in my future.
That's fine.
So I'm going to keep praying for Otter Creek to do
well.
We're
trying to weed them off.
And I'm going to live my life positive and have adventures. So if you're interested in positive adventures, then
you're in the right place.
Keep checking in. Yep. And if you feel like you need to check on some drama, you know where to go for that. So I hope everybody takes care. Enjoy this beautiful, peaceful day. And I'm just going to go look at some flowers and listen to these birds some more.
And we're going to pin the results to the end of this video. So if you want to see the numbers, the unofficial numbers on the actual register sheet.
Yes, because the official results will be put out April 4th. So, but
they normally don't change.
Usually they don't change much from the unofficial results, so you could pretty much take those to the bank.
It's really just to give people a chance to file a grievance if there's a problem. But.
You done?
Yes.
All right. Bye, y'all. Thanks for joining us today.
Bye, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Keep those smiles on.
Have a good one. Love you guys.
Bye.